All
I
right,
hear noise.
there we go. I don't know what happened.
I don't either. I'm sure it was my fault, whatever it was.
It's technology. I don't know. Oh,
This is
anyway,
what life is like.
I tell you. Elizabeth, hi, I see you down there. Um, Welcome to the the Maternal Health and Wellness Network. We're so excited to have Amber with us. She actually lives in my neck of the woods in Tennessee, East Tennessee. We're so excited. Gosh, I look so shiny. Anyway, squirrel. Hi, kitty.
Yeah, cat. I mean, have a cup of coffee, glass of wine. Join us.
Just join us, have a seat. It's going to be a fun time. I'm so excited to have her with us. I'll let her introduce herself, and yeah,
All
we'll be
right.
conversational.
Yes, I love conversations. Those are my favorite types of presentations or the lives. And I'm sorry you're going to see cat butt, apparently. But my name is Amber Gourley. I'm a registered dietitian here in East Tennessee. I've gotten the privilege to know Christina over the past, year or so, and spoke at her event last spring. And um, my focus really is women's health. I went back to school to be a dietitian close to 10 years ago. And when I got out into the field, I really realized that a lot of women's voice just wasn't being heard. And I really saw an opportunity there to slow things down with the women that I work with, really listen to them and really give them the support, not only from a nutritional standpoint, but sometimes they just needed someone to listen and be there and believe what was going on in their life and in their health. And I've had the opportunity to open my own practice where I get to work with clients exactly how I want to and serve them very powerfully. And that's a little bit about me and what I do.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're so excited to have you in our region. And hi to everybody that's joining. I see Maternal Mental Health Utah and Elizabeth. And I don't know y'all's first name, so I can't say hey to but thank you for joining. So tell us the majority of people you see in your practice.
So I see primarily women. And we are female focused. If you follow our Instagram, it's lots of soft colors and just very feminine focused. Um, and we really see everything from women who are looking to get pregnant and really want to just get their bodies ready from a nutritional standpoint through pregnancy, postpartum, work with a lot of women that have autoimmune disorders and digestive disorders, as well as eating disorders. We really try to serve the woman at any point during her life, right? Because we all go through those ebbs and flows. We might be a new mama today, and in 10 years, we're dealing with an autoimmune disease or digestive disorder. So we just want to serve women through that whole cycle of being a woman, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know there's we're all at home, and you were on the news was it last week?
God,
I don't
no, it
remember.
was like 3 weeks ago.
Was it 3 weeks ago already?
Yeah, it was day.
I don't know what day it is.
We don't know what day, but it was day.
It was a day. And so tell us some of the top questions that you're being asked right now.
A lot of questions, interestingly, or I guess not interestingly, but it's around food safety from the standpoint of I'm going to the grocery store and bringing this food back in my house. Is it safe? How do I clean it? Should I clean it? How long can the virus live? That's a big one. And then, just food prep and how do we make meals? We did a little live in my Facebook group that I run. And, one of the big concerns was with the scarcity, food off of the shelf. And I know this is a national presentation or stream, so I can't speak to other parts of the country. But in East Tennessee, we actually have plenty of food on the shelves. Meat, protein is a little hit and miss. But, definitely talking through, what can I make? How can I think a little bit more creatively? Those are probably the two biggest questions I've gotten asked recently.
Yeah. Yeah, there, we're all at home, and I know there's a lot of I don't go into the grocery store a lot. My husband, he works outside of the home. He works in the hospital, so he usually, if we have to get anything, he's the one going into the store and bringing it home on his way back. So I don't get to frequent the grocery store right now very often, but when I do, I usually make a mistake and go down the wrong aisles the wrong way, and they're like kicking me out of the grocery store at the end of the day. So um, it's a different day we live in right now, I tell you what.
It is.
Um, but so the population that we want to, talk about today is moms and families and babies, and how, especially right now, we can maintain their nutrition, and you know have that have a nourished mom. You get the title of yours is Nourished Mama, Nourished Baby. So I guess let's talk about the best way we can do that for new mamas.
Love that. So first and foremost, don't stop your prenatal. As obvious as that might sound, don't stop your prenatal and make sure you have a good quality prenatal. You'll need that for 6 months to a year post-pregnancy. That doesn't matter for COVID or just general, but don't stop your prenatal.
Do you know if OBs are telling that to their patients?
I don't know that. I've definitely had some interesting stories relayed back from some OBs around nutrition and status, but that one I don't know. And if anyone's listening, I would love to hear, what did your
Yeah.
OB tell you? But definitely, maintaining that prenatal, maintaining your DHA as well. So both of those, which is really important because there is definitely some links and some studies to postpartum depression and nutrient deficiency. And when we talked about staying nourished as a mama and nourishing our babies, we can only do that if our needs are being met. If we're not meeting our needs, what's going to happen is baby's going to take what baby needs. And then mama's going to be left depleted in an already incredibly stressful point in her life. And so we really have to put that oxygen mask on the mamas and make sure that we're taking care of ourselves as best we can. And sometimes that means going to more convenience type foods. And I don't mean processed foods. There's a lot of things on the shelf now. I love like Seeds of Change. There's some wonderful culinary tours, has some ready-made dinners that are really simple ingredients that are very nourishing, very nutrient dense, but are very quick. And so I think we need to stop the paradigm of, okay, nourishing means meals made from scratch, fruits and vegetables, because there are so many other options out there right now that are jam-packed with nutrients, great quality ingredients that are really easy to grab and go.
And that, I think that's what families, especially new moms, families with either newborns or even with multiples, toddlers and newborns, or two kids and newborn, whatever, because we don't have time. And I'm one that if I see a recipe with more than 5 ingredients, you can forget it. And if it takes longer than 30 minutes, definitely not.
Yeah.
I like easy, I like simple.
Yep.
Or it's takeout for me, which that's just me. Because we like simple. We don't have time for
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah. And it's just changing our paradigm, right? Because a lot of the women I work with, to them, the culture of healthy that we've had for probably the past 15 years, I would say, is really, you got to make it from scratch. You got to cook at home. You got to, instead of finding the give, right? The gray. And I think that's where we're really seeing a rise in these really ready to eat foods that are very whole and very nourishing and really are just simplifying our lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what is an easy to prepare meal?
Oh, that's a very broad question.
Well, how can I make it what can we make that is simple and easy for a new mom? Say we wanted to take her something. What, a casserole, or let's prepare a mama meal.
That's a great
I'm flying by
question.
the seat of my pants.
I
That's what I do.
um, somebody says I'm scarfing down a PB&J. Hey, if I could eat peanut butter, I love some PB&Js. I think, that's a really, really great question. Casseroles certainly not a bad idea. There's tons of 5 ingredient recipes out there. I will have to find you some and get those too. You could share those as a resource.
Mm-hmm.
But even if it's as simple as, hey, here's some frozen vegetables. There's some great, is it Fontana has some really great pre-done frozen dinners that you just throw in a skillet. Again, high quality ingredients, but they're ready to go. Amy's Meals, any of those are really great. And it might even be, here's a rotisserie chicken, a bag of vegetables, and some sweet potatoes. Super simple, super easy. Like, we don't have to overthink things. We don't have to overcomplicate things. And I think that's what we tend to do. Taco soup, right? Black bean soup, super simple, easy to put together. Something that can be frozen and then taken out in portions also is a good idea.
Yeah, those are excellent points. And I liked the rotisserie chicken idea because you can get one of those for what, $5 at the grocery store. And,
$5.
smaller families can use that in 3 days and
Mm-hmm.
3 different meals probably.
Yep,
So,
definitely. And depending on where you live, like here, Ingalls has rotisserie pork loin and rotisserie turkey. So some places have some variety.
yeah, that's one of my favorite things to make is pork loin and pork chops,
Mm-hmm.
because they're so easy to put in the oven and just forget about for 20-30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Or the Instapot or crock pot.
Yes.
You can just take chicken breasts, dump them in a crock pot with some salsa, and then you've got like this delicious salsa chicken that you can, have with a salad or a side of black beans.
Yeah.
Again, those are nothing fancy, but they're very nourishing. They're very nutrient dense foods.
That reminded me of a recipe that I haven't made in so long. Chicken with salsa and cheese on top. It's very good.
Easy peasy.
I haven't made it in a long time, but it's good.
Yeah, we
Let's
sometimes
see.
we forget about our favorites, don't we?
Yeah. Unless you have a list of favorites that, especially when you have a family and there's things they don't like and they do like you have to make a list, which I have a list probably in 5 different places of things we do and don't like. Um, right now I have no idea where it is. Um, but that's a good thing when, the babies grow up to be toddlers. What does our family like and don't like? Because if you don't make something they like, then, I'm one of
Yeah.
those that if I make something and you don't eat it, that's too bad. I'm not making anything else.
And I think that's a really great point in kind of talking about the nourish mama, nourish baby. And this certainly does not hold 100% of the time, right? There's lots of sensory types of issues out there. But the more mama starts sharing with baby, as baby starts eating food, what she is eating in a safe manner, whether it be pureed or chopped up or really, really soft, baby is going to be much more likely to grow up with a good palate, and we don't find ourselves having to cook 2 or 3 meals, which is something a lot of women come to me like, you know, husband wants this meal, baby wants this meal, and I'm going to eat this. Again, sensory issues aside, the more you can just give them right off your plate, the better you will be in the long run in terms of not having to cook 3 or 4 meals. And we shouldn't, right? Like, let's not add to the burden that we
Right.
all already have in this busy life. Let's start early and try to cultivate that palate for baby.
Yeah. Especially, right now with moms who have babies at home and, we're having to do breakfast and lunch and dinner, which maybe we're not used to that. I'm not used to that because my kids are either in school or at preschool. So this is like completely different. And yeah, it's different.
Yes, it's definitely a challenge when you have small ones. Fortunately, mine are old enough to feed themselves.
Yeah.
There's the kitchen.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, so what about snacking when um, mom is busy and she has a toddler and a newborn and needs to keep up with snacking, and if she's breastfeeding or not breastfeeding and doesn't have time to eat a full meal, what kind of snacks can she hopefully we haven't lost Amber. What kind of
Yep.
snacks can she keep around the house?
I think that's a great question, and something that I definitely have worked with some clients on. One is smaller frozen meals. Sometimes, you are busy, and just thinking two steps ahead is just not going to happen. So if you can think one step ahead and pull something out of the freezer, have it in the refrigerator thawing or on the counter thawing, so that when you do get that minute to eat a meal, it is ready and you don't lose valuable time and going through the whole prep process. As far as what can you keep around the house, I mean, there are so many different snack options. And I think it really comes down to, number one, your preference, in terms of what you like. But I would say to make sure that it is a higher protein snack. As women in general, we tend to not get enough protein. You do have higher energy needs if you're breastfeeding. And it's our tendency to go towards the things that are easy, so that tends to be more carb based snacks. So making a conscious effort to make sure it's some sort of a protein based. I wish I had one right here. I keep ready made protein shakes around the house, and those are super easy just to grab out of the fridge. You can sip on them. That helps with your hydration status. Again, if you're breastfeeding, you need that liquid anyway. High calorie, high protein. Find some protein bars that are palatable to you, that you enjoy. Fruit pouches, dried fruits, anything of that nature is definitely good to keep around the house.
Yeah, those are excellent suggestions. And I love protein shakes. I know some people either you love them or you hate them, but I do love them. What else can we talk about for nutrition and mamas?
I think it really is a little bit about planning and delegating. We, as women, do tend to really take on a lot of that onto ourselves. And the more we can, work with family ahead of time and plan ahead of time. I even have a client right now who's creating like her favorite recipes and her favorite go-to meals, and she's got a book, and she's going to hand it over to her husband and her in-laws when they come to help her. And so she can say, this is what I want, and they can go to the book and find it, and it's easy to make. And I just thought that was a really great idea.
That is a really good idea. Um,
Yeah.
is she a new mom or a mom of
Maybe
two?
number two. Maybe
Okay.
number two.
Oh, wow. That's an excellent idea, especially right now because, there's so many people that are like, how can I support a new
Hmm.
mom? And supplying meals is huge,
Yeah.
huge. Because new parents do not have time. We don't like even not new parents. We don't have time. We don't have
We do this for
time.
us.
Even right now, my husband calls me and he comes home and he's like, I've got to ask the question, what's for dinner? I'm like, I've been taking care of these kids all day long. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like a mom again.
I know, and I love that idea so much because one, as women, we tend to not want to ask for help. Ladies, you don't have to do it on your own. It's not a weakness. I actually believe it's a strength when
Hmm.
we can say, "Look, I can't and I shouldn't do this all by myself." I mean, that's very powerful, and that's what we're teaching our kids too, right? If we have other kids around the house, what do we want to teach them? Keeping that in mind is really important. Doesn't mean we can't help, like creating the book of recipes to hand off to friends and family. But I just think that delegation is so, so important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely asking for help. It's what we don't do. Even when we learn how to, we forget about it again.
Yeah.
But asking for help, especially right now. Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Well, is there anything else that we haven't?
Um, I would say the one thing we haven't talked about, and we certainly, won't have time to go into this in great depth, but in addition to the prenatal vitamin, which I'm happy to share with you, a really high quality one that is most of the prenatals on the market don't actually meet the needs of a pregnant woman, which is really sad. So I'm happy to share one that does actually meet the needs, both pre and post, but also just the digestive health of new mama. So making sure you're getting some sort of a pre and probiotic, whether that be through fermented foods, if you like sauerkraut or kimchi or yogurt, or through a supplement, is super, super important, especially when it comes to that mental health side, because the microbiome, it does shift, it does change during pregnancy. And if it doesn't shift back to normalcy, again, we're setting up an environment where we're more likely to have some of those mental health things start to show up that may potentially be preventable. So that's really, I'm really passionate about making sure that that's taken care of too, or addressed.
Yeah, and that's a really good suggestion. I think there's more and more research now about gut health and maintaining that. I know Dr. Mary Kimmel at UNC is really big into researching that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up and talking about that. And share what that prenatal vitamin that you suggest is.
Yeah, it's called Full Circle. It's actually created by another dietitian who specializes in fertility. That's actually all she does. And it's really funny because all my mamas or all my women who are trying to conceive, who have taken that, have come back and they've felt noticeably better. And I've had a few mamas run out and go to the store and just pick something up off the shelf, and they came back and they go, I do not feel good. My energy's low. I could tell I don't feel good. And then they get their prenatal in the mail and they feel amazing again. So there is definitely a big difference in having those needs met.
So everybody listening and everybody watching the replay, Full Circle.
Full Circle prenatal. Mm-hmm.
Tell them that Amber Gourley told you.
Yeah, it's amazing. But they definitely can tell a difference on it. So
awesome. Well, is there anything else we haven't covered?
Oh, there's lots we haven't covered,
I guess for the sake of time.
For the sake of time, you tell me. I'm happy to chat about anything. I definitely think we've covered some great tips and tricks and the gamut, really.
I think we have. Honestly, I think the whole prenatal vitamin thing is something that you don't think about when you haven't been pregnant in a while. For me, it's been over 5 years. But I don't think I took a prenatal after I had my baby. And I definitely don't think anyone suggested for me to. So that's an excellent, excellent point. So what about women that are not in that year? What about a vitamin for them? What do you suggest?
You can certainly take a high quality multivitamin. I typically recommend Designs for Health. That's one of the ones I prefer. It really comes down to each person, as an individual. Are you eating a balanced diet? Do you have any health issues? Are you taking any medications? Kind of that standard list of, could you be meeting your needs or could you not be meeting your needs? I would not recommend a Centrum or something kind of lower quality off the shelf. It's supplements are really a game of you get what you pay for. And if you're going to go through the effort of remembering to take it every day, remembering to buy it, and actually, putting that in your body, go for something high quality. Probably not going to do any harm by taking it. Whether or not you need to is really a more individual assessment would probably be recommended, but probably not going to do any harm taking one.
All right. Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Anyone that wasn't able to join us live, they can watch it on the replay live, and we're also going to be putting all these on YouTube. So, yes, we're getting fancy. Don't tell anybody I'm techie. So, all right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. I think there's a few people still on, so tell your friends to come watch. And does anybody have any questions? You can put them in the comments. I haven't seen any pop up, but
I haven't either, but I'll definitely keep an eye out and I'll come back and I'll pop a link in for the full circle prenatal too.
Awesome.
So
Well, thank you.
you're
Well,
so welcome. Thank you.
we'll see everybody later and have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.